If you're not using PlayStation Plus on your Steam Deck, then you're missing out on some quality games. I'm the Games Apprentice, and here are 5 games that are great on the Steam Deck, exclusively played through PlayStation Plus. So let's get the big one out of the way first. Despite Horizon, Spider-Man and The Last of Us all coming to Steam, the Uncharted series is still very much tied to the PlayStation. So if you've never had a PlayStation 3, 4, 5 or a Vita, then these games will have eluded you for the past 16 years. Has it really been that long? I got old! Now, unfortunately, the entire series isn't available on this service at the moment, but the good news is, the best one is. Uncharted 4 is from the people that brought you Crash Bandicoot and The Last of Us. It's a duck and cover shooter with lots of action, stealth, incredible set pieces, beautiful locations, and climbing along conveniently placed ledges. You play Nathan Drake, a retired treasure hunter / action hero, forced to come out of retirement for one last job. It follows on from the previous games in the series, but you don't really need to have played any of those to understand what's going on. I couldn't actually remember much about the previous games from when I played it, to the point where I wasn't actually sure if Nathan Drake's wife was in the previous installments. She's literally in every single game and pivotal to the plot. Unforgettable, you might describe her as. Luckily, it works perfectly well as a standalone story, with plenty of nods to people who have played the previous games, but nothing would spoil the experience for those who haven't. For those who have, but never tried out this one before, it's the best in the series, with a much improved stealth system that makes it a fun option for the first time in the series, some areas that are self-contained open worlds, and a grappling hook to swing on. Whee! Being an action game, it's only about 15 hours long, which granted is pretty long for an action game, but it means you'll have more time to play other games from PlayStation Plus, totally getting your money's worth. Now this next game is for all you old school shooter fans, and this is a game I absolutely loved on the PlayStation 4. Heavily inspired by 1981 arcade game Defender, this PS4 launch title is a perfect arcade style shooter for handheld. So much so that it's also got a release on the PlayStation Vita. The Steam Deck's much larger screen though make it a much better way to play it, and see all those lovely particle effects. Look at them. Oh yeah, that'd do it for you. From the development team that brought you Super Stardust, Resogun is a 2D side-scrolling twin-stick shooter. You can fly in both directions as you orbit, something I guess, and shoot in both directions as well. You need to avoid getting shot as well as save the humans, who are weird little green men in boxes. When you destroy enough enemies with a green tint, this will free the humans from the box, and you need to collect them before the enemy does and deliver them to what I'm assuming is a rescue pod and not some kind of incinerator. As well as being able to shoot your gun, you also get bombs and some mega gun thing that I forget the name of, but it's awesome, look at it. Music and sound effects are great too, and the visuals and enemies chasing you give it a very Geometry Wars feel. If you like arcade shooters, this is a great one, and even if you don't, it's definitely worth trying out. Now to add a bit more variety, the third game on my list is a racing game, MotorStrom Apocalypse. Created by the now defunct Evolution Studios, best known for Drive Club, MotorStorm was primarily a PS3 series, with the original game in one of the better launch titles. MotorStorm Apocalypse came out in 2011 and was the final game in the series. The game's an arcade-style racer that plays a lot like the Burnout game. As well as the normal driving controls, you've got a turbo that you can use as much as you like. The catch is that if you use the turbo too much, your car overheats and kaboom! You can cool it down by driving through water, and the world around you is constantly changing as things are randomly blowing up and terrain has been destroyed, making for a really exciting racing game. Now it still looks pretty good for a 12-year-old game, and its flaws such as its frame rate and resolution are just less obvious on the Steam Deck. The next game on my list is Kingdom Hearts. Now calling Kingdom Hearts a great game is a little bit of a stretch. While it does have some great moments and lots of potential, it's also very clunky and dated, and the least said about the gummy ship sections, the better. It is, however, a game that works a lot better in handheld, and a series that's well suited to the Steam Deck. In Kingdom Hearts, you control an annoying little kid called Sora. who along with his two best friends gets pulled from his homeworld into a weird and wonderful world of Disney. While searching for his friends, Sora is accompanied by a mage by the name of Donald Duck and a knight called Goofy, who are basically as useless as they sound. They spend most of the game just dead off in a corner somewhere. What starts out as a quest to find your friends becomes a quest to save all the worlds by sealing them with a keyblade and fighting off the Heartless and doing it all for friendship and stuff. Barring the DS games, which just got remade cutscenes on here, you can play literally the entire series via PlayStation Plus if you've got a spare 300 hours or so. The sheer number of games is likely to put a lot of people off in the series, and the fact that it's full of Disney characters makes it seem like it's aimed at kids, but as anyone who's seen me shouting and swearing on Twitch can attest, why is this bit even in the game? This is ridiculous. Right, okay. Oh, and I'm done. These games are tough and will likely break you a lot. Sure, the dialogue is corny as hell and the story gets extremely complicated, although what 300-hour story isn't? But it's got some great music, some extremely challenging boss fights, and lots of cool RPG mechanics. You probably know already if this one's for you, but if you haven't already fast forwarded this video, the Steam Deck is the perfect place to play the series. Now, saving the best for last is Infamous. Infamous is a criminally underrated and undervalued IP that's exclusive to the PlayStation. The more I think about it, the more I realise that I actually started a YouTube channel purely just to start an Infamous revolution and get a new Infamous game made. So if you work for Sucker Punch, go make Infamous, please. Thanks. Make Infamous now. And Infamous. Infamous is a superhero series that began life on the PlayStation 3 from the team behind the Sly Cooper series and the frustratingly critically acclaimed Ghost of Tsushima. I say frustrating because I was hoping it would tank and they'd have to go back to making Infamous games. Stupid, amazing Ghost of Tsushima. There are 3 mainline games in the series, and I could argue a case for each of them as to why it's the best. You could play any and you'd have a great time, but the one I'm recommending today is the one where it all began, the original Infamous. You play the character of Cole. As a courier, you deliver a package which creates a massive explosion, almost resulting in your death. The explosions grant you the power to absorb and manipulate electricity. You have the ability to climb stuff somewhere between Uncharted and Assassin's Creed style, and as the game progresses, you unlock powers such as being able to hover, shoot, and just do massive amounts of damage. Along the way, you'll decide if you want to be good or evil, which affects the powers you unlock and some of the story, as well as how people react to you. For the most part, the gameplay mechanics are similar to something like Spider-Man, but with less emphasis on hand-to-hand combat and more emphasis on being a third-person shooter. The first game in the series is certainly the ugliest, but it doesn't seem that bad on the Steam Deck. What I really like in particular about this game on the Steam Deck is that this is probably the best version of it. The original PlayStation 3 controls always felt like they lacked precision, and what I've started to realise is that was more down to these crappy little things. The 6-axis controller's thumbsticks are just too loose, and it just feels so much better and plays so much better using the Steam Deck. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to click subscribe for more Steam Deck content, and hopefully I'll catch you next time.